So we're recording this, we'll put it on the chapter website. Like I said, we're so excited to have our very first meet and greet ever in our San Francisco Bay chapter. I was able to watch another meet and greet from the Angeles chapter that they did a couple of weeks ago and learn a little bit about what they did, so that was great. And we're happy to have all of you here. I want to introduce all of us as the NomComm and ElectionsComm members. Scott Simmons, I'm Peggy De Silva. Sarah Rainey is from the NAC group area, Pam Seek from Marin, Tiffany Go from Fremont. And we want to have a little shout out for our NomComm member who had to move to the East Coast halfway through the year, but Lucy Claire Curran, who worked with us last year and is working, did work with us for the first half of this year too. So we appreciate all the work that everybody has done. We also really appreciate the work that Zephyr and Virginia and Elizabeth have done with us in working through all of this stuff. And we appreciate our ExComms, all of you who have sent us information, all the candidates who have filled out nomination questionnaires, everybody who's participated in this. I say often that I think one of the things that is unique about the Sierra Club as compared to all the other environmental organizations, and in fact, many other organizations that we have, is that we are in fact grassroots and member driven if we take that option. And that means learning about our club, learning about our issues, learning about our people, and voting. And so we hope that we will do much better. You probably all know from the article we wrote in the Yodeler last time, we only had 2% participation in our chapter for overall for voting, and we want to make it maybe 10 times better than that this year. So you all can help us do that. So let's see, anything else that I need to say? Ground rules, we call this a meet and greet. It is not really a forum. It is definitely not, as someone said to me, an inquisition. We want to talk to people. Our committee has a goal of being clear, fair, transparent, and welcoming. And we hope that all of you have experienced us as that. And if you haven't, you can let us know. We'll try to correct our behavior because we want to encourage people to be involved in leadership in the Sierra Club as much as we can. So we don't want to scare anybody. We're not going to allow questions that are hostile or mean. We definitely want to look at issues. Those are important. So just kind of bear that in mind as you're going through this. As Scott said, we'll be doing our chapter section first for our chapter candidates. And I think most of them are here, but Sarah can do roll call when we get to that. They'll each be given the chance to do a 2-minute introduction of themselves. And then I have a timer, so I'll give you 10 seconds. When you're 10 seconds, you're close as a chapter candidate. And then we have some questions that have already been submitted. And as Scott said, then you can type them into Pam specifically if you have something that comes up in the time period that we have for chapter. And we'll have 25 minutes to do for the chapter. Then we will figure out if we want to do the Group ExComm statements as a whole or in the breakouts. Figure that out. We'll go into breakouts depending. We weren't really sure on who all was coming and how this would all break out. So we'll work that a little bit flexibly. And then once you're in your breakouts, each breakout room has a host, one of us, and the host will moderate the conversation there a little less formally than what we're doing now. And then also finish up, end up our meet and greet when you're all done talking. Want to make sure that you know how to get to the chapter elections webpage, because all of you who are candidates, your candidate statements have been posted there with your lovely photos so that people can see who you are and be excited about you at this point and all the way on into November. Our election time is November 3rd through 30th. And we are planning to do another meet and greet because we think this will be very fun in November, because we know that people will learn some things now, and then they might also know more and want to ask more questions once they've read more in November. One of the reasons that we did this meet and greet early on is because, again, we think the Sierra Club is very exciting and is grassroots. And if you have friends that you would like to recruit to join the Sierra Club and that they will be able to vote in the election, you want to do it now. They need to get their memberships in right away because it takes a little bit of time at the national level, and they've got to get those in by the beginning of October. So that's what we're about. And I'm going to turn it over now to my esteemed NomCom colleague, Sarah Rainey, and she is going to host the chapter section of this. I'm sorry we don't get to ask you all to introduce yourselves, but we know you're all wonderful Sierra Club members, so we're glad you're here. And I'm going to just be a timekeeper now. Sarah.
Thank you, Peggy. And Peggy, I think you're going to do 2 hands, right? When we get close, when we have 10 seconds left.
10 seconds.
Okay. Jazz hands. Okay. Welcome, everybody. Let me just add my welcome to the chorus. We're really glad to have you all here. And it's great to see so many candidates. It's really satisfying to get to this point with all of you. So I'm going to lead the introductions and then some Q&A for our chapter candidates. And I want to make sure I've got everyone noted here. I see Chance and Igor and Martha and Max and Nick. And then our 6th candidate is John. I don't believe he's joined, but if he does, we'll make sure to slot him in for introductions. So what I thought we could do to start is we'll go through introductions alphabetically. So that means the order I just read will be the order we do it. Chance, Igor, Martha, Max, and Nick. And you each have 1 minute just to introduce yourselves to this group. What we're going to, 2 minutes. 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Excellent. Even
Major
better.
Statement.
2 minutes to introduce yourselves to the group. What we're going to do is have Scott unmute all of you sort of en masse, but you'll stay quiet until it is your turn to go. Chance, you will be first. Welcome.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Oh, Nick, your hand is raised. You have.
Oh, yeah. And Nick, we can unmute you now, but we'll wait. Do you have a question about? Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry about that. I just wanted to question about the process. We were given 3 questions, the chapter candidates ahead of time.
Yep.
Do you want us to address those in our introduction, or will those be addressed later?
You will, after the round of introductions, we're going to go through questions, and those 3 questions will be reread for you to answer. So however you choose to address it, but you will have time after your intro to talk about
Okay.
those.
Thanks much. All right.
Yeah, thanks for asking. All right, Chance, the floor is yours.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Hi, everyone. My name is Chance Catrano, he, him, his pronouns. I am in my 2nd year on the Chapter ExComm, immediately fell into it as the vice chair, supporting Olga Bolotina as the chair, and seeing us through the transition of new chapter treasurer, new financial committee chair, and a new chapter director. So lots of interesting changes that have been happening over the last 2 years. And I've been really fortunate to have the skill set and the trust of my fellow ExComm members, not only to help facilitate meetings as the vice chair, but also to step into the role of chapter treasurer when the outgoing treasurer, Roger Williams, stepped away, as well as the financial committee chair, and have really enjoyed my time so far. I'm really excited to move beyond HR related and like nonprofit management related work, even though I plan to continue to do that for the chapter, but also to move towards more programmatic related work and coalition building work in the years to come. Should I be elected, I think that intersectional work is going to be critical for keeping the visibility of the chapter, as well as to increase our fundraising prowess and to increase our impact as an effect of that. So really glad to be here and to continue to serve the club, which has been really great for me and my training and my skills as a leader. So thank you.
Thank you, Chance. Igor.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you to the NomCom for this excellent forum. I'm Igor. I use he, him pronouns, and I join you from unceded Ohlone territory in West Berkeley. I have had the honor of serving on the chapter executive committee since 2012, end of 2012, in various roles, and the privilege of serving as I believe the first and the youngest in modern history chapter chair, which I did for 3 years. And then I it was a privilege to pass the torch onto the first female immigrant, Olga Balatina, and I am so fortunate that Chance agreed to serve as vice chair. Those 3 years were challenging because of external forces. We had the Trump slump when it comes to everything that was going on that we then had to resist and persist and protect the planet around. But we also witnessed almost 10% increase in membership at that time. And so my priorities, if re-elected, would be to continue to work to make sure that we have membership that is reflective of the diversity of the Bay Area, that all of our members feel included in our activity sections, in our conservation work, in our climate work, in our organizing. I also serve as the chair of the Northern Alameda County Group and the co-chair of our Chapter Energy Committee. And in that process, we have been able to come together and work with entities within and outside of the Sierra Club, again, to make sure that we're doing everything we can to combat climate change. Thank you so much. It would be an honor to earn your vote.
Thank you, Igor. Martha.
Hi, my name is Martha Krieger. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I live in Fremont, which is in southern Alameda County on Ohlone land. I am really, really happy to be here. Thank you for including me in this candidate forum. Currently, I am the chair of the Southern Alameda County Group, and I am an alternate to the Chapter ExComm. So I've been coming to Chapter ExComm meetings all this year. And I am really excited to run for this position because my background is as a grassroots organizer. So basically, most of the organizing I've done has been around issues campaigns. A lot of those have been around environmental justice and climate change. That is probably the reason that I ran at all to be in Sierra Club in the leadership. For the last 3 years, because of wildfires and vehicle emissions in Fremont, I've had a lot of difficulty breathing in the summer, and that's been really important to me. My children have had asthma. There are communities throughout the Southern Alameda group and throughout the Northern Alameda County group that all have issues with breathing and air. And Sierra Club has been doing some incredible work in that. And I have been happy to join that. One of the things I would really like to do as part of that group is to get more people like myself involved who haven't been involved before. Women and moms and people from different communities to actually do the work we're already doing in our regular communities. We don't do enough of that kind of inclusive organizational building, at least not that I have seen. I have seen us do a lot of work, but I think we can actually do better in that. And we can really look at it through an equity lens, meaning having meetings outside of when people are working, having meetings where anyone is allowed to speak. That would be awesome. Really working on co-convening meetings with other groups that are also working on many of the same issues that we work on. And that's my background, and I would really love to be able to do that more. Thank you, Peggy, for the 10 seconds. Anyway, thank you very much for having me, and it's an honor to run. So thank you.
Thank you, Martha. Max.
Hello, everyone. My name is Max Perret, he, him, his pronouns, and I live in Marin County. I served on the Sierra Club Marin Group Executive Committee for 9.5 years, from 2009, end of 2009 until 2014. I was then off for a year, and then I was back on in 2015 to 2019. I also served on the Chapter Executive Committee for 4 years, from 2016 until the beginning of 2020. And in that time, served in a range of roles, including focusing on various environmental conservation issues. I was the liaison to a group that was opposing a mega big box store in San Rafael, working with local business owners, as well as labor unions and progressive organizations and other climate change groups in that work. I was the Sierra Club's liaison to a successful ballot measure to expand an urban or extend the time frame for an urban growth boundary in northern Marin County in Novato. And I worked with the SF Bay chapter on plastic bag bans throughout the Bay Area in the early 2010s. Got to work with the Zero Waste Committee and staff on that effort as well. I also spearheaded a number of events, including our annual holiday party here in Marin, as well as conservation issue focused events opposed to fracking, the Keystone XL pipeline, and environmental justice issues. I'm running in this race because I think that I have the time and capacity, interest and knowledge, although I'm always learning more and more from all of my colleagues in the Sierra Club, where I can contribute time and effort towards all of the efforts underway by the Sierra Club. I'm continuously impressed by the work that the chapter is able to get done through the volunteer structure, and I think it's incredibly
Thanks,
important
Max.
that we continue to have the volunteer structure that we do. Thank you.
Thank you, Max. And last but not least, Nick.
Okay, thank you. Thanks so much to the Nominations and Election Committee for holding these forums as well. I think they're a great idea. I wrote down my some notes, but I incorporated the questions that you're going to answer later. So my notes might be a little bit disjointed because of that, but bear with me if you would. I live in Albany. My pronouns are he, him, and I live on Chochenyo Ohlone land, as some of the rest of us do as well. I was previously a member of the chapter executive committee, and I termed out after 6 years. And by that time, I'd been elected to the Albany City Council and did not choose to run again for the executive committee because the council was taking up all my time. But I'm termed out of the council right now, so looking forward to running again for the chapter executive committee. The chapter executive committee work has been fabulous. There's such a diversity of knowledge in the chapter, and part of why I participate is to benefit from that knowledge. In addition to the executive committee, I continue to volunteer with the club in many different ways. I'm an outings leader as well, both local and on the national outings. I've fundraised at the annual award ceremony, and I've helped for the search for the new office. My priority really is addressing climate change in using my passions, and my passions are working for alternative transportation, alternative energy, and dense infill housing. I'd love to be part of the political wing of the chapter because the chapter really fights the good fights and wins them. Inside the chapter, oh, time's up. It looks like I want to make sure that we're more transparent and accessible to the membership.
Thank you, Nick. And thank you to everyone for your introductions. You will have more time to talk as we go into questions. So I'm glad we have a little bit of extra time here. What we're going to do, appreciate everyone doing those introductions. What we're going to turn to next for the chapter candidates is a Q&A. And Pam sent out 3 questions that we received prior to this evening. And I think what we'll do, Pam, is we'll go one by one, but you can read the first one out loud. We'll put it in the chat as well, so you have that as reference. And then we will go through and give everyone the chance to answer each question. I do have an order here I'd like to go by, but why don't we, Pam, read the question first, and then I can moderate the answer part.
Thank you, Sarah. Hi, everyone. I'm Pam. Thanks for being here. The first question is, what are your ideas for engaging more people in our communities to join up with the Sierra Club in pro-environment actions?
Thanks, Pam. And Tiffany has just put that in the chat as well. So if you want to look at that question again, it's there for you. So we'll do this order for answering. It's going to be Max, and then Chance, Nick, Martha, Igor. And I have 3 different lists here. So you guys each have a turn being in different orders. But Igor, you have a question first. Can we unmute you?
How much time do we have?
We have, is it 1 minute, Peggy?
Shorter than 1 minute. Just be quite brief with your question answers. Sarah will manage. Because we only have until 8:05 to be in this large group.
That's right.
So
okay, so
Scott's going to don't talk too much.
Scott's going to unmute you all or ask you all to unmute again. Please take that invitation. And Max, starting with you, what are your ideas for engaging more people?
Sorry, I'm playing Hunt for
There
the
you go.
Candidate.
He's up. Thanks,
Yeah.
Max.
We're good. So what are my ideas for engaging additional communities to join up? I think we have to reach people where they are. So if there are opportunities to join with other organizations, whether they be focused on a specific environmental issue or another issue that might be intersectional to the environmental movement, I think that's a great way to engage people in pro-environmental actions, but also reaching people through other maybe more fun ways or ways to get out into nature and utilize the activity section of the club in ways to bring people in to take pro-environmental actions. I think all of those are good methods to bring in new members, but also to bring in people who might just want to take 1 or 2 actions or go to a march or protest or take an action short of becoming a member. Maybe later on they'll become a member and become more active, but reach them where they are with the level of support that they're willing to give to the club.
Thanks, Max. Chance. And just start raising your hand if you're not able to unmute. Oh, there you go.
Cool, I got unmuted. Okay, so the way I want to think about it is like thinking of the mission of the Sierra Club. So explore, enjoy, and protect the environment. And so on the latter 2, when I think of enjoy and protect, I think about the intersection of health issues and environmental protection issues. And so, the ability to step into those discussions around oil refinery, particulate matter emissions, and be the spokesperson in the most recent hearing that was this sort of historic moment where we're able to reduce the amount of emissions that were allowed under Bay Area Air Quality Management District regulations. And showing up in that space is critical, and it opens the door to have more conversations with other stakeholder groups and figure out how we create win-wins and get in the room more frequently. The other thing I'll say on the front end of that Sierra Club mission is for the enjoy, it's about, again, like Max is saying, showing up. Like I joined the Showing Up for Racial Justice Policy Committee to find out those intersections for Sierra Club policy and racial justice policy in Marin County. And that could result in other things too. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Nick.
Yeah, thank you for the question. I think, first of all, we have to do everything we can to embrace young members and members of color. I think that's an existential issue for the club. We can't sustain ourselves otherwise, and so many other good reasons to do that. But what I do, I have this big mailing list now from all my political activity in Albany, and I don't hesitate to use that mailing list to plug the club and plug the club's actions when I can. And so that's one reason why that's one way I keep Albany people informed about what the club is doing and ask them to step up as well. Thanks.
Thank you, Nick. Martha. Oh, there you go.
There we go. Thanks.
There you
for
go.
having me. Thank you for that. I think that we really need to flip the conversation, that question around a little bit, and actually look for areas of co-convening with other groups. and putting on training and actions that co-convene with them. So it's not always Sierra Club and getting other people to join us, but it's also going ahead and marching and walking and training and empowering others with those groups, especially since there's so much incredible, great leadership within other environmental groups in the Bay Area that we can do that work with. The second thing is to look at even the way we run our meetings, where we allow voting to happen, to try and expand that and allow people to join more. Like, we don't have a conservation committee, but we used to. And when you name people to that, then they could have equal votes, and they can do that around specific issues. And you can build those kinds of partnerships within that framework. And it gives it a limited amount of time, which is amazing.
Thank
So
you,
it gives
Martha.
people that lead in. So thanks, Frank.
Thank you. Thank you. Igor. Scott, help. There you go.
Thank you. I'm going to time myself. I'm an organizer, if not by background, by practice. The first thing I learned early on, in the immortal words of Kendrick Lamar, sit down, be humble. Take the time to listen to frontline communities. Meet them where they're at. A wise person once told me, to do the work of being a change agent, you must be proximate to the community that you serve. So I agree with Martha. It's not so much about the me, it truly is about the we. Here are some of the organizations I had the privilege to show up for and engage with and then bring into the fold. Sunrise, Youth versus Apocalypse, West Oakland Environmental Indicators Project, Fossil Free California, Local Clean Energy Alliance, Sunflower Alliance, Richmond Progressive Alliance, the Transit Riders Union, and sundry housing justice organizations. Together, we can do this work. I want to listen to you. What do you want to get out of this club? This is our club. Let's do this together.
Thank you, Igor, right under the wire. Thank you. That was great. And I want to put a plug here for the ability for each. I know it's difficult for the candidates to answer these questions in a brief way because they are such rich questions. And also, I'm sure that as participants, you might have additional questions for them. You can go onto the website and it's linked there in the chat. And each candidate has their candidate statement up. And in, I think, all cases, the candidate statements include email and other contact information. So you're welcome to reach out to the candidates individually if you'd like to follow up on any of the things that we're talking about tonight.
I do want to just make a comment that we asked all the candidates if they were willing to be contacted, and if they were willing to be contacted, please share information with us. So anybody who put that on his, her, their page means that, yes, please contact me. If it's not there, the person didn't want to be contacted.
Yep. Okay, and I think, Peggy, what do you think about maybe going to 8:10? So we have time to do the two other questions, and maybe Pam, give me a signal. Have we received other questions by chat that we want to try to incorporate?
We did, yeah. We received one by chat as well.
I'd like to, let's ask our participants. You can let us know if we go a few more minutes in chapter here with our questions that have come in. It'll be a little bit shorter in the breakout rooms, but they're pretty small. So they should be, we don't have so many people from each group. Is that okay with everybody? Okay. Go, Sarah.
Seem pretty good. Okay, so I'm gonna hand it back to Pam to ask the second question.
Okay, the second question was, what will be your top 3 priorities or objectives?
And here's our order. Thank you, Pam. We're going to do this time Martha, Nick, Igor, Chance, Max. All right, so we'll start with Martha. The unmute thing is the highest drama of the night.
It is, but it's fun.
Yes.
Okay. So 30 seconds on 3 top priorities. First one is wide and deep leadership. I think one of the ways we encourage wide and deep leadership is conducting ourselves with respect for all in these meetings. We really need to respect, empower, and include others, which means we don't interrupt others. We let people speak. That's really, really important. Kind of leading with kindness. Second one is to strengthen those partnership community agreements with EJ groups and local community-led groups, mostly community-led, because that's so basic for what we're fighting for, whether it's forest, toxins, anything else. And then the third one is to have really important, guys, no matter whether I get elected or not, comprehensive policy discussions. I think we really need to take those policy discussions around energy and apply it to solar. Anytime we communicate on those things, we should do it comprehensively. Thanks,
Thank
Sarah.
you, Martha.
Really nice to see.
Nick.
Yeah, thank you. Great answers from all of our candidates. Real quickly, there's at least the perception that the club can be anti-housing. I'd like to counter that. I'm a strong advocate for building more dense urban infill housing as an important part of addressing the housing crisis, and that's also the most environmental way to build housing. There's at least a perception that the club can be one-sided in some areas and overly concerned with land conservation, although absolutely important, supporting alternative energy and alternative transportation. Also, passions of mine are vitally important to addressing climate change. And finally, I'd like to be more involved in environmental justice, climate justice. I think this is a critical part of the club's work, fighting pollution from trucks going in and out of the Oakland port, or fighting coal trains, or a couple of issues of local examples. Thanks.
Thank you, Nick. Igor, and Igor, we're trying to keep it to a minute or less.
I talked about membership. That is still my top priority, making sure that the membership is happy, that the membership is reflective of the Bay Area's diversity, that we're meeting membership where we're at. I'm working on this not just locally, but also nationally. Right now, there's a lot of structural change going on, and I have been an advocate for making sure that our spaces are welcoming and inclusive, and that they continue to be member-led. Happy to talk more about that later. Intersectional organizing is my second priority. And when I was chapter chair, I was able to help also really close that gap, break down the walls between us and activities section, and continuing to work with activities, doing great work. Lastly, fiscal solvency. Even in tough times, we were able to keep all of our staff. We need to continue to be ready for the challenges of the year ahead. And I am committed to doing that.
Thank you, Igor. Chance.
Yeah, three things. First thing is this culture of inclusion. And that includes not only within our ExComm and the Group ExComms and the different working groups and task forces, but also for members that could be on agenda listservs and have new ways of getting engaged and be up to date on event calendars. I think there are just a lot of opportunities that we still have missed in terms of getting more of the membership engaged. Second thing relates to sort of trainings and making sure that our membership is feeling like they have the opportunity to empower themselves and their communities. And the third thing is focusing on the real issues of today, like transit housing, intersection, wildfire risk, as well as water conservation risks as well, and doing that all through that sort of equity lens that folks have been talking about.
Thank you, Chance. And Max.
Yeah, agree with everything everyone else said. I'll just add, I think it's hugely important to provide a supportive environment for staff. I think that the executive committee at the chapter level, right, is really the body that both fundraises to support staff as well as provides direction on where the chapter is going to go in terms of a mission. And I think it's really important to provide clarity to staff and support for staff and provide trainings and professional development and all of that goes into a successful organization. Secondly, I think it's really important that we provide opportunities to the membership, similar to what Chance was saying about trainings, but I think even more than that, ways to interact, especially as we're getting out of the pandemic, and maybe can do more things in person where it's safe to do so. And then lastly, as I think Igor mentioned, supporting other organizations and approaching that work with a humbleness that we don't always have all the answers, and that maybe it's others that need to take the lead, And as
Thank you, Max.
mentioned, co-convene.
Thank you, Max. All right, we're going to go to the third question, and then we have one more question after that. So the third question, Pam, will you read it for us?
Hi, and I see we're at 8:10, so I'll make this probably the last question.
Okay.
How important do you think it is that the ExComm work collegially, and how will you help facilitate that?
Oh, and we're going to start with Nick.
Oh,
And it'll be, I'll just tell you who, sorry, to add to the drama. Nick, Max, Martha, Igor, Chance will be the order.
okay, thank you for the question. Vitally important that we be collegial. Some of the drama that I've seen happen in the club really upsets me, and it's unnecessary, and it drives away people who want to be involved in leadership and people who want to be involved in the club in general. We can tackle the issues, we can disagree on the issues without attacking each other. This is a huge deal for me, and I've worked on it all throughout my time as a volunteer and leader with the Sierra Club.
Thank you, Nick. Max.
Hugely important. I think it's imperative that everyone who steps up in a volunteer role understands the importance of respecting everyone else in the club, and as well as staff and volunteers and members who might come to an event or a hike or something for the first time, so that they feel included and respected. And as for meetings and such, as an executive committee, having been on the executive committee, I think it's really important that we value that, and that we also provide the training so that people know the best way to treat their colleagues with respect and kind of set those ground rules.
Thank you, Max. Martha.
I agree with everything that's been said by the other candidates, and I think it is super important that we all get along. We can be in a room and work on the same issues if we're on opposite sides of the political divide. It's completely possible for all of us to do it, and it's necessary. We are in the 11th hour of the climate crisis. We don't have very long. And it is not that hard to understand that everyone in the room has the best intentions. It is not that hard to listen with respect. It is not that hard to be kind to each other. And I think it is absolutely critical in building a professional collaborative environment to do so. So thank you for that, giving me that opportunity to say so. And thank you for holding this forum.
Thank you, Martha. Igor. Scott, Igor needs a hand with that. There you go.
Thank you. Having been involved on compliance and accountability issues, I can tell you those are not fun. And an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of remediation later. To that end, both as chapter chair and in a support role to the current chapter chair, I have been working on a set of trainings on starting a mentorship program between ExComm members. In addition to that, we have pioneered tools like use of a progressive stack to allow for equity at the meetings. Also, we are working right now, I'm on a committee to create model community norms that are shared norms for all of us that we agreed to ahead of each meeting. If we're agreeable to it, then that's a surefire way to then adhere to them. And finally, getting to know people as the complete human that everyone here is outside of the meetings, meeting people where they're at, so important. And I'm working on making sure that happens both in and outside of our meetings.
Thank you, Igor. And finally, Chance.
Thanks. Yeah, plus one to what everybody said so far. And I feel Igor's words coming out of the last 2 years as vice chair, looking into a lot of personnel, volunteer management type of issues. I think at the end of the day, what we're trying to do at the Sierra Club is do our part to help prevent catastrophic climate change and to rectify some of the injustices that we're seeing in the world. And we hope that all the volunteers that come to help are coming away feeling like they're filled up through the process, that it's more transformative than it is taxing, which oftentimes it feels with volunteer activities. And creating that culture of inclusion is really the way that we can make people feel like they're tapping into a community and coming away feeling better for it. I'd hope as a commitment in this next round of ExComm that as we onboard people, that they'll actually sign the codes of conduct, that they will commit themselves to our codes of conduct as we continue to strengthen those and the new norms that we're working on in this committee that Igor mentioned.
Thank you, Chance. Thank you all, candidates. I really appreciate your time, your ideas, your candor this evening, your openness and spirit of both service and change. It's really great to hear from each of you. And I'm gonna, I think, hand it back to Peggy to talk about what we are thinking about doing next.
So here's a question for our group that's here, and particularly for the candidates, I think, but also for the members, what you want. We realize that when we break into breakout rooms, we can't record. So we can't put the statements of the Group ExComm candidates on the website so other people can see them. If we let them make a statement short, like a minute, then we can put them on and then break it into the breakout rooms. But it will give us a little bit less time in the breakout rooms, although our Zoom will let us go a little bit longer if you in a breakout room want to stay a little longer. So I'm going to ask again, sort of for a show of hands or whatever, from our participants, would you like to hear from all the group candidates at this point? If you don't raise your hand, I'll assume we should go into our breakout rooms right away.
So raise your hand if you'd like to
raise your hand if you'd
from
like
the other
to hear
group
everybody from
candidates.
all the groups. Don't raise your hand if you'd like to go in breakout rooms right away. Okay, I'm seeing breakout rooms go.
I think so.
Okay, yeah, okay. All right, Scott. Now, has everybody put your name? Let's see. I'm looking, Donna, which group? Can you put your group in?
I will, I'll get the people, I'll get the stragglers.
Donna is
You'll get them?
TVG.
Donna's TVG. Let's see, Amy. Amy, which group? Amy at the bottom there, I don't know which group she's going to.
I can pick it up. Peggy,
You can pick
if
it
you
up.
want.
Okay, all right. So
right,
Scott's going
everybody.
to send us invitations to go into our groups now. And then we have breakout. We have a few questions that are relevant to specific groups. And otherwise, it is a meet and greet for your candidates. I recommend that the host of each group let the candidates speak and then have some conversation. And again, remember, oh, we just talked about that, collegiality, respect, etc. Onward. Thank you.
Okay, and Beth, if you find yourself alone in a room, come on back and we'll talk shop, okay?
That's going to be
Jill.
with me. We're going to chat.
Okay. Oh,
And-
But then we can
And-
come back if we want.
The last two things I want to thank the Peggy, our fearless chairperson of this committee, because this really has been her effort over many months to bring this to fruition. Peggy, thank you for your vision. And then just to encourage each of you who are here, thank you so much for coming and check out the website itself. I'll paste it back into the chat because there are all the candidate statements and ways to contact people. And please encourage your friends who are not yet members to join by October 25th. And voting will be November 3rd to November 30th. So it is coming up.
And they really need to join sooner because they have to be recorded by then. But you know, things don't always go so fast. So join now.
all right, everybody, buckle up. Here we go.